Hey everyone, I welcome you all to this session. And in this session, we will discuss about a Power BI report. Actually, in newspapers and maybe other places as well, you must have seen that sometimes different visuals are used, different charts are used to represent the information or the insights. And along with the charts that they also use images. And then, along with that, text is also used beautifully to explain the insights or to represent the information, right? So we will also today we will try to create a similar type of Power BI report, and through that report we will also try to understand that how in Power BI desktop we can insert an image, insert the text, and all that, and how can we create a similar type of visual basically representation, right? So today we are going to discuss about that particular thing in this session, right? And the data set that we are going to use is a data set in which the data of different factors is available to us, different factors that lead to stress in students, right? So we are basically going to discuss about all those particular things in this session. So first of all, since I want to bring the data to Power BI desktop, so I will first of all click here on get data. And since it is a text CSV file, so I will simply click here on text CSV. And this is the dataset that we are going to use. So I will double click here on this dataset. It may take some time to load. And then I will simply click on transform. So this is the dataset that we have. And here you can see that different factors are given, right? Different factors are given to you that lead to stress in students. So anyways, I want to use in my analysis, I want to use this first column, that is the column named anxiety level. And I do not want all of the columns to be there in my data set. So I will simply first of all right click on this column, that is anxiety level, and then I will click on remove other columns. So this is the only column left. And now I'm interested in knowing about the minimum and maximum value in anxiety level column. First of all, I will click here on column profiling based on entire data set. And then let's say I am interested in knowing about the minimum and the maximum value in this particular column. So I will simply click here on this drop down and I will click on sort ascending. So it shows you that the minimum value in this column is 0. And if I will again click here on this drop down and I'll select sort descending, then it will show you that the maximum value in this column is nothing but 21. Now I will be adding one more column in this particular data set in order to group different students according to the different types of anxiety levels that they have experienced. And apart from that, since I want to identify each record separately, so I want to add an index column, because in order to identify each record, I want a different column. So first of all, I will simply click here and then I will click on add index column, and you can choose any other number. You can choose 0, 1, custom, and you can provide the number of your choice. But in this case, I'm choosing from 1. So this index column will now be used to identify each record separately. And since I want to move it to the beginning, so I'll just double click on this index column and will drag and drop it on the left hand side like this. So now you can see that anxiety level column is available on the right hand side. Now the point is, all right. Now the thing is that I want to represent this anxiety level using a column chart, right? And we will discuss how we'll do that. First of all, since whatever changes I have made in this particular data set in the Power Query editor, this is the Power Query editor. We refer to it as the heart of Power BI because here you can do all sorts of data transformations, right? So that's the thing. And since I want to apply all the changes that I have made in the Power Query editor so far, and I want to stay here in the Power Query editor only, so I'll simply click here on Home tab and I'll click here on this drop down and then I will simply click on Apply. So it will save all the changes that we have made in the Power Query editor, and then we will go back to the report view and then we will create the report. Also, if I will simply click here on this anxiety level column and I will click on the View tab, and if I'll click on column profile, then you can see that the total number of values that we have is 1100. There are no errors, no empty values, distinct values, unique values, each and everything you can see, right? So I think we are good to go and we can use this data for analysis. I will simply uncheck this column profile box and I will Now click on this drop down. I'll simply click on close. When you will click on close, it will simply take you back to the report view. This is the report view, and this is basically the canvas or the report design area, and we will be creating the report here only, right? So that's the point. Now, let's say I want to insert an image in this particular report. So simply I will click on insert tab, and then you can see an option of image. Since this is the image that I want to add, I'll simply double click on this image and I'll simply place it here. Let's keep it here. You can further resize it. Let's resize it. All right. You can resize it according to your need. And now, since I'm interested in representing the information using a column chart, so I will simply expand the visualizations pane, and I will click, first of all, I'll click here on the blank area on this particular report design area, and then I will click on stacked column chart. The moment I clicked on stacked column chart, it created a blank column chart for us. I want to place it here. Let's place it to the right of this image. And then you can further resize it according to your convenience and need. Now I want to represent the number of the students who have experienced different anxiety levels, right? And since I want to represent the number of these students who have different anxiety levels, and I will again go back to the Power Query editor using this transform data option. I'll tell you a reason why. Because on this particular visual, I want to represent the count of students who have experienced mild levels of anxiety, severe level of anxiety, and moderate levels of anxiety, right? And the data that I have, or I am having here in this particular data, I am having this column named anxiety level, and this is having different values ranging from 0 to 21. So it is required to add one more column, and using that column, I will represent that this particular record or this particular student has experienced mild level of anxiety or moderate level of anxiety or severe level of anxiety. So first of all, I will click here on this column, that is anxiety level. Then I'll click on add column, and then I'll click on conditional column, right? And now I will have to provide conditions for adding this conditional column. I want to give a name to this column, and that name is anxiety level category, or you can simply name it as category. Let's name it as category. And if the value in the anxiety level column is less than or equal to 13, in that case, we will say that the student has experienced mild levels of anxiety. If the anxiety level value is less than or equal to 20, in that case, we will say that the student has experienced moderate level of anxiety. Else, we want that the outcome in the new column or the newly added conditional column should be severe, because the value of the anxiety level will be either 21 or greater than it. So now we will simply click on OK. And now you can see that a new column has been added, but the data type of this column is a text data type. So I will simply click here on this ABC123 icon, and then I'll click on text. So now you can see that we have a new column, and now we will be using this particular column for the analysis, because we have grouped different students according to different anxiety levels, according to the score that is given to them in this anxiety level column, right? So now we'll be using the newly created category column. I'll simply click on home tab, and since I want to apply the changes and I want to go back to the report view because I want to create a report, so I will click here on this drop down, and now I'll click on close and apply. This close and apply option will not only apply the changes that we have made in the Power Query editor, but it will take you back to the report view as it did now. As you can see on the screen that we came back to the report view, and this is the place where we create the report in Power BI desktop. Now in this particular column chart, blank column chart that we created, I want to represent the count of the students. So we created index column for that purpose. So I will simply drag this index field from the data pane and will drop it here in the y-axis bucket. And I do not want the sum of the index, I want the count of index. So from this drop down, I'll change it to count. And since I want to represent different categories along the horizontal axis or x-axis, so I'll simply double click on the category column and I will drag and drop it here in the x-axis bucket. Right, so now you can see that mild, moderate and severe, everything is represented in this particular column chart. Now I want to format this chart, so I will simply click here on this chart, then I will click on format your visual. Now let's say I want to change the title along the x-axis to off, and let's say I want to change this y-axis to off, and I want to change the title also along y-axis to off, right? So that's the thing. And I want the title for this whole chart also, it should be turned to off. So I'll click on general and I'll change it to off from here. Now for the column chart that we have created, I want that the data labels should also be represented. That is, along with the category names, the count should also be represented. So I'll again click here on format your visual after selecting this column chart. And now I'll change this data label to on. And now you can see that the numbers for different categories are being represented. Now, since in some columns you can see that the number is being represented inside the column, and in some of them the numbers are being represented outside the column, so we can just simply change the position of the data label as well. So I will further expand it, and from here I can change the position and I'll keep it inside end. You can further resize it. Yes, you can change the size for this image as well. All right. And now for this particular column chart, let's say along the x-axis, I want the names that are represented, that is mild, moderate and severe. I want to change the font style and font size for them and color as well. So we can simply first of all click here on this column chart, and then along this x-axis, I will change it to bold and I'll change the font style to Georgia. Let's keep it black. Yes, perfect. And now the data labels that have been represented inside the bars, I just want to change the formatting for them as well. So I'll just simply click here on this chart. I'll minimize this x-axis, and under this data labels, under this value section, I can change the color. Let's keep it black. Let's increase the size and let's keep it bold, and we can change the style as well. So let's keep it Georgia, right? So this is how the insights can be represented. If you want to change the color for the columns, then you can do that as well. I will simply click here on this column chart and I'll click on format your visual. Then under this column section, since I want to change the color for each one of them, so I'll just simply click on show all. And now for this mild, let's choose this color. For moderate, let's choose this color. And for severe, you can select some other color. Let's say you want, yes, so you can select it from here. All right. I think that's perfect. Click on enter. Yes. So you can choose different colors according to your convenience, and that's how you can represent the insights, right? But I want to include some text as well, right? So first of all, I want to give some heading. In this case, I want to give some heading. So in order to give heading, I will first of all just simply click here on insert tab. And then you can see that we have a text box. So I'll simply click here on this text box, and I'll first of all, I'll move it here. Let's keep it here and I'll resize it. And let's write anxiety level in students. Anxiety level in students. And since I want to change the font style and size, so we can change all that. So first of all, I'll select this text, Control A. Let's keep it Georgia. Let's increase the size to 40. And let's keep it bold, italic, and underlined. All right. Fine. So let's move and keep it here. All right, perfect. Now you must have seen that since I've already talked about the text is also sometimes used to represent or highlight a particular point. So I want to represent the percentage. Obviously, from the visual column chart, it is clearly visible that higher percentage of students have experienced mild levels of anxiety. So first of all, I want to know about the percentages, although I want to represent the numbers only, but I want to know about the percentages. So I will first of all simply click here on this column chart, and then I'll click on under this y-axis bucket. I will simply click here on this drop down, and under this show value as you can see, as of now by default no calculation is selected. I will click on percentage of grant total. So you can see that more than 62 percentage students have experienced mild anxiety levels, right? So now, since I already told you that I just wanted to know the percentage, although if you want to represent it in terms of percentage, you can keep it in percentage as well, but I want to represent it in numbers. But I want to use this percentage for mild, and I want to write a text, and through that text I want to highlight this information. So what I'll do, I'll simply again click here on this column chart, and similarly I will select no calculation from show value as. So this is the thing. Now, all right, I think we are required to resize it. Okay, fine. Now let's say I want to insert one more text box because I want to write the text. So I'll simply click here on text box, and since I want to place it here at the bottom, so I will simply move it here. I'll keep it here. All right, and now I will write more than 62% students have experienced mild levels of anxiety, right? So you can represent it in this way. Let's say I want to increase the size for this text. Let's keep it Georgia, and I want to keep it, let's say 20. And for this 62 percentage, I want the size to be 40. Let's keep it 40 in order to highlight it, and you can keep it bold. All right, it's okay. And for this particular text as well, let's keep the size to be equal to 20. Let's keep it bold. All right, we can keep it italic as well, and this part also italic. Yes, and let's change the font style to Georgia as well for this part. All right, so in this manner you can represent the information. If you further want to increase the size for the 62 percentage, you can further increase it in order to highlight it. Let's keep it 54. Yes, so according to your convenience you can represent the data, and in this manner you must have seen these type of charts in newspapers where they represent the insights. So this is just an example. You can be more creative, and you can in fact use other columns as well for the analysis. So I hope this video was helpful in explaining it to you that how different text can be inserted in a report, and how we can insert an image. So I think this video was helpful. So that's all for this session. We'll meet in the next session with more interesting topics. Till then, thank you. Bye bye. Stay tuned for quality content on my channel. Thank you.